Well, I know a great Manchester photographer who's a real grumpy bastard, you know, but he gets the job done and he gets it done really well. There are lots of different ways of being, and you can still do your craft and still be really good at it. You know, you don't have to be empathic. He wouldn't travel with the bands. He wouldn't get on. He wouldn't get in the tour bus with them.
Really?
He'd travel behind in his car. He just didn't like being with bands. But he came up with the goods every time. Yeah, there's different ways of doing it.
And I guess it's that way of relating to people, isn't it? And it's one of the things I am curious about is, I'm sure that there are some images being splashed up here. Oh, there's Guns N' Roses. What were they like?
The most rock and rollingest band ever.
Oh, look at them, bless them.
See, they were pretty. They were pissed off that I photographed them in their shorts, because this is before the gig. So you know, when they were on stage, they didn't wear their shorts. Really weird characters. You know, he drank. Slash drank a bottle of Jack Daniels every day that I was with them, and I was with them for about 5 days. Axel didn't hang out with the rest of the band. He hung out with his girlfriend, and then he'd meet up for the gigs, and he'd come an hour before. He wasn't even at the sound checks very long. In fact, they did some without him. That was strange, because I thought he'd be part of the gang, and he wasn't. The gang was really the bass player and Slash at the time. You know, they were really good buddies. So it's interesting, you know, how the dynamics work and of these people. And Duff McKagan's the bass player, and he was a great guy, and he made these fantastic cocktails that we had in the hotel, which all had vodka in them and lots of it. They were just a big drinking band, you know. I didn't see any other drugs apart from weed on there. It was all about alcohol, and so we all got sloshed, and then Duff says to me, "Oh man, we got to go downstairs because Slash says to join him anytime." Oh, all right, great. Let's go and see Slash then. So we went downstairs where the Slash was on a different floor of the hotel than we were. And he goes, "Oh, don't knock, just go in." And he's in bed with the groupie when I walk in. I go, "Oh, right. Oh, yeah, don't worry, come in." And he was all right about it. You know, he stopped doing what he was doing, you know. It was more important to be with his mates than be with his groupie, because that's what it was like for Guns N' Roses. Everywhere they go, it was accepted. They look on sex differently, or they did in the States, to how they do over here. You know, it's kind of like, it's just really accepted, you know. And so I'm like, he said, "Oh yeah, just hang out." And I got this shot of him with a groupie in bed next to him, and he's on the phone, and she's just like smiling, going, "Yeah, I'm in a photograph now. I am immortalized." And that's the way it was, you know. There's no like, "Oh, I'm out of here." It was just like, "Oh great, all my friends are going to see I've been with Slash." It was normalised, you know. It was great, fantastic. Another great story about him was that we went to a nightclub one night, and again, Slash was totally pissed, and there was a band playing on stage, and they invited him up, and he said, "Yeah, absolutely, I'm going to get up." So he did a spot with them, and he fell off the stage. He was so drunk, which was funny in itself. And afterwards, we all piled out. We had the kind of like their security with us, and they kind of cordoned us off. And they decided they were going to go. So they have a really big tour bus that they tour around the States in, and they sleep. Everyone sleeps on the tour buses. You don't get very much space, by the way. Kind of, you're lying in bed, and the roof is kind of there above you, you know. And above that will be Stephen Adler, the drummer, on top of you, you know. So you don't get much space. But that's how they travelled around. And the windows were one-directional, mirrored, you know. So you can see out what's going on outside, but people can't see what's going on inside. So we've been to this club. The coach pulls up outside. we all get on board, and then they wait, and all the people come out, and lots of girls line up outside, and the tour manager is going, okay boys, who shall I go and get? And Slash is there going, gee, I like the look of her, her please. And Duff's going, not tonight, I'm okay, thanks, you know. And so the tour manager goes out, and he'll have a word with the girl and say, hi, yeah, if you want to come on, and yeah, if you want to come on as well. And they would come on, and off we'd go, you know. And Slash took one of the girls into the lovely romantic toilet.
Happy days, eh?
Happy
Guns
days.
N' Roses. Were the Stone Roses like that then? Or were they? What did they play?
Well, John was, you know, John was pretty much married. He had a long-term girlfriend. No, they weren't like that. No, very different. I didn't think that was a rhetorical question.
Yeah. Which is a bit cheeky.
Very different. Pop Elite itself, they were pretty rock and roll band.
Yeah, I've heard about them. Yeah.
Yeah, they were great to hang out with. Photographed them quite a lot of time. Pop Elite itself, for those who don't know, were kind of one of the first white rap bands.
Actually, we should ask, is there anybody who doesn't know who Pop Elite itself are? Come on, hands. By way of a show of hands.
You all know.
Yeah, everybody does.
Okay, fantastic. So I photographed them quite a lot, and the first time I was commissioned to photograph them was for a cover piece, again, for Sounds, and we went over to, we toured Sweden and Holland, and we had this, it was in the winter time, and this lovely man at the hotel had, because it was out of season, he said, yes, I'll open my hotel for you, but look after it, and in fact I'm not going to be there that night, so just for you guys, you know, and I'll come in the morning and I'll cook you all breakfast.
What was he thinking?
What was he thinking? So we did this thing that we were really, really pleased about. You know those menus that are on the wall? So if you're in a bar and it'll say, vodka, you know, £4, and the little plastic letters, aren't you? You can take the letters out and you can move them around. Well, they had a breakfast menu that was like that. I told you. We took all the letters off and we made rude words with all of them. But this is what we're really pleased about. We used every single letter and none remaining. So we thought we were really clever, basically. I've got a photograph of us all smiling underneath it, you know, with all these rude words on it.
Is that going to appear up there?
No, it's not. It's not in that one. And so when the hotel owner came by the next day, he wasn't too pleased to see all the soil all the way through the foyer, and all the plant pots had been thrown from down the stairs. It was just cruel, man. Yeah. It was just silly and childish. It wasn't.
No empathy, no unconditional positive regard.
It was pretty damn silly,
No
really.
authenticity.
I still feel
Oh, maybe
guilty
authenticity.
now.
Actually, maybe authenticity. You're being fairly authentic.
It's game playing, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it's like that's pretending to. What does a band do? Well, you do a Keith Moon, don't you? You trash something,
Unless you're Morrissey.
and then you just bitch. Anybody read his book?
Yeah, you're not in it.
Oh man, I'm reading this book. I work with a guy called Richard. I live over near Marsden, which is in Saddleworth Moors, and Richard basically is locked-in syndrome, so he can't talk. He's paralysed, and I do a music project with Richard, and part of that because he's a very clever man, and he was a musician, and he was a theatre director and a writer, so we've got so much in common then, you know, and I go over and we do these projects, part of which is I pick a music book, he picks a music book, and I read it out to him, you know, and we're reading Morrissey's autobiography.
Do you do the accent? Do you do it in a Morrissey accent?
I do accents. I do accents.
Have you got it with you?
I love Irish accents. I like doing that. I do.
That's a lovely accent, isn't it?
It is. There's different ones as well.
I do the
Little singy songy ones.
David O'Leary one. my boys.
But Richard can't talk. He communicates by blinking. So when Richard wants to say something, I have to kind of know. I have to ask him, Richard, do you want to say anything? And he'll go, yeah. That means yeah. So then I'll get out an alphabet on a board and say, okay, top line. Yeah, that means yeah. A, B, C. So that's how we do it. So every sentence takes about 10 minutes, but that's how we communicate. And I think Richard just gets a good laugh from me being stupid, you know. And I really enjoy it as well. It's great because I'm reading the books that I want to read because we've got loads in common. So he wants to read them as well. Morrissey, oh my God, it's such a difficult. I'm raging sometimes at what he's writing in there. When it was like, what was I reading the other day? I go on Mondays, and Morrissey's going, this person is not worth the time of day me describing them, and then in the next paragraph he starts describing them as having horrible pimples on the back of their neck.
And does so for 28 pages.
It is. It's really an assassination, you know. And I just feel like, oh, anybody that's crossed him gets the Morrissey treatment. He really enjoys digging in. It's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to read, really. I find myself getting quite cross.
Yeah. Did you spend much time with him?
Morrissey, I did. He came round to my studio. I lived in South Manchester in Chorlton. I did a front cover of a magazine called City Life, which is a bit like Time Out, City Limits. I don't know what the Leeds equivalent is. It's kind of a fortnightly What's On magazine, and it was the 100th edition of it. So Morrissey agreed to be on the cover of it, you know, because they kind of championed him for quite a few years. And so he came round to the house, and I photographed him. But the deal was that he chose the picture that was going to go on the cover, and he said, you know, you have to bring the pictures round to my apartment. He lived in Altrincham at the time. So I got the pictures done really quickly and went round to his house. And he lived on the ground floor. This is before he moved to London, obviously. Altrincham's in Cheshire. And white carpet, really kind of sparsely furnished. Big picture of James Dean, the one where James Dean is in Giant, where he's got the Stetson hat on and he's got the gun, you know, over his shoulders. That one really massive from floor to ceiling on there. And then how Morrissey always does things differently, as you can imagine. And rather than have a bookshelf, he had a round table, and the books were arranged on that, you know, flat, not upright, down like that, and then in a circle, in a spiral going up. That's how he'd arranged them. So I thought, well, that's pretty quirky, but if you want to pull one book out, they're all going to topple, aren't they? But that was him.